Hi everybody, I have a picture for us today, and this is the picture. I'm going to talk about this. This has to do with some interesting experiences that I've had this week, conversations with God, you could say, trying to understand what is in the silence of reality, okay? That's the best way I could explain it. I drew this picture to talk about another picture that I drew, which is this picture, which, I don't know, this is a cloud, this is a mind, and these are two sides of an argument, okay? And I can talk about what this picture means to me, why I drew this picture. But I drew this picture, and this is the one that I've been talking to God about. I handed this picture to God, and I asked God if he could help me to create a conversation about how important this is. I've been trying to have a conversation about this, but I don't feel like I've got a strong, I don't feel like my words are strong enough on it. And so I want to work on my conversation about it because it's really important to me. So I want to talk about this picture. It's very simple, okay? Because I feel like money is the key word. And this picture is powerful. This is just a simple drawing of society. And this is important. So we have individuals, actual individual people, who are unfathomably wealthy, okay? They're the wealthiest people in the whole wide world, fathomably wealthy. And then we have a lot of people here that are hardworking or not hardworking, but they create the base structure, the foundation for all of society. When this crumbles, will this crumble at the top? This spot here, to me, represents government. And so you have people who are working hard, and then their money goes into an accounting, and then the government decides what's going to happen to that. But then we have right here influencing the government, then influencing what happens at the base of this pyramid. And at the basis of society, this whole structure is money, okay? So money dictates this whole structure. And I was talking to God about this, and God was saying, okay, so did you want society to look like this then? Is this what you want society to look like? And I say, well, that's not quite it either, because I don't want anybody to be at the bottom or anybody to be at the top. But I started to realize the importance of this structure, because it's not money that should be what constitutes value. The most valuable people are the most wealthy. You can understand why when you're down here at the base, you want to have money, because you want to have freedom to do whatever you want, to live freely in this world, to have access to any experiences you want to have. But if you live here at the very top, you win at everything. You can buy whatever you want. You can buy ideas. You can influence people down here and see what happens. You can have unfathomable experiences at this level. But I feel because you can buy a life that has no conflict, you will be bored. I'm convinced this creates boredom. And here creates exhaustion. So there's a major imbalance between the top and the bottom. And then we have government that creates a buffer between them. Because once you start realizing there's people that could buy whole countries, it really helps to open your eyes about what the structure of our whole world is all about when money is at the heart of it, okay? Money is at the heart of it. Money is on everybody's minds, whether it's here or here or here. Money's on everybody's minds. So then God kept doing this. And then I kept saying, well, that's not right, but that's not right. And then this was happening, and this started to be the world today, okay? Starting to be the world today. But then it all slowed down, and I started to realize how important this structure is. When it's money that's not at the heart of this structure, but it's hard work. So you can choose. Let's say you have an economy that is based on hard work and talent. And so you could choose to be a hard worker or be passionate or be lazy. And there's going to be people, there will always be people who are attracted to different lifestyles, okay? But here, these should be the most honorable, most incredible, the most amazing, most inspiring, most intelligent, most athletic. They should be the best representations of human beings on our planet, because they were born incredible. Man, I love talented people. Even if they're born talented, I appreciate them because they give so much to our society. And whether it's musical talent, athleticism, it's intelligence, it's sciences, it's philosophy, I really admire these are the best speakers, or the best in our society. They're the best representation of human beings that we can have access to. They can build the most incredible societies when we learn how to work together. And these people should be celebrated. So the people at the top are the ones that had to work really hard to be the best representation of a human being, or they were born with it, but they have the skill. They can walk the walk and talk the talk. And then they work together. They work together to help to inspire the best world that we all can experience together. The best world. And so I'm finding that in the world today, there is mass confusion here, because there is a celebration of people that aren't the best or the highest caliber or the most qualified or the most quality type of human being. And it's almost like they're celebrated. They're encouraged. I don't know. It's just, so I'm having this, I'm going through a pretty deep and reflective stage right now. I've also had some really unusual dreams. I had an experience, this was way back, this was probably like 8 years ago. And I talked about this experience a couple times, somewhere in the midst of over 1,000 videos I've talked about it. I'm not, as you can see, my lack of playlists proves that it's gonna not be easy to find it. But I had an experience with my future self, and I was a bit dumbfounding. So for a living, I analyze energy patterns. I hear the sound of energy and I talk about what my experience with your energy field is, or my experience with what it is that you are seeking to understand. So whether your goals are practical or spiritual or physical or mental, emotional, I'll be able to hear the sound beneath the surface of what you're saying. And then I'll be able to go on to a creative adventure to really interpret the deeper meaning and help you to harmonize with something of an empowerment, okay? Empowered perspective. So that's what I do for a living. So I call it a psychic energy healing gift, because I don't know what else to define it as, but that's what I do for a living. But I had this experience with my future self, and it was not, it was so outside the box. It was so surreal. It was so impossibly surreal. It was so impossibly surreal. And she's been an anomaly in my mind since I had that experience. One of the things that was unbelievable about her was that she was clear as day, as an old woman. And I was mocking her because my relationship with myself, if you can understand my relationship with myself, then you would probably understand why I was mocking her because I'm hard on myself, okay? So naturally when myself visits me, I'm going to be hard on myself, and I was laughing and teasing her. And she was very energetically breathtaking. She was the most energetically breathtaking expression of consciousness, the most dense version of an invisible person I'd ever met. And she was mind-blowing. But she came to me in next to nothing. I mean, she was wearing what was like a blanket with a rope tied. And that was a dress that she was wearing. She was old, and she had a staff, and you could tell that she'd been through a grinder of some kind. An unfathomable life experience. What made it, I didn't know that it was me at first, but what made it clear that it was me was the fact that I had this experience, I don't know, around 3 or 4 in the morning, let's say. And then I woke up and went about my normal day, and she was still there. I couldn't make her go away, okay? Because her energy was echoing so loudly, I could feel her emotional state. And the thing that was weird to me was that she was really looking at her life through this environment that was my experience. Like she was me. She was me in a place of unfathomable loss and despair and loneliness, and she was crying. Like she was happy to have this experience. She was grateful to have this experience, and she was emanating that, but she was so sad. Like my kids' artwork was everywhere. It was a messy house. But she was like clinging to this like a Like the most greatest gift that had ever been given to her was to be able to revisit another time in her life, and it was me. Why this is an anomaly is I would say there's no way that my future is that unbelievable. There's no way that the future is going to look like that. And I've attempted to do journeys to her to try to understand the future of Earth in this version of Earth. And I'm convinced that this time around it will be different, but I'm starting to not be sure. I'm just saying. And I'm not worried about it either way, because I came here for all the right reasons. The reasons why it's coming to me now, because as I'm talking to you about, we have a solution to the world today. We have a solution to whatever happens with money and the collapse of economy and blah, 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 because we can bring the triangle back into balance. When we start with that, money doesn't matter. It's the appreciation of each other that is the solution. We don't need the money. We just need each other. That is the one thing that at the top, when money it creates the pyramid, and it's not the most incredible humans that create the pyramid of value, okay? It's money that creates the pyramid of value. Then society has to collapse because it doesn't honor the human, okay? And perhaps that future me is a representation of the society that collapsed, that didn't honor the most valuable human. It honored the most valuable, whoever had the most money. But I don't know what it's going to be like this time. I don't know if I'm walking in her identical footsteps or if we can make it different this time. I'm telling you this because this isn't the first time I've lived this lifetime. This is not the first time I've lived this life. Before I met her, I had these profound deja vu events. And they were so deja vu, it was like, it was making me scared. It was minute by minute even. They would last for like 5 minutes, and it was actually scaring me. And I started to realize that deja vu meant that I had lived this lifetime before. And when I had that epiphany, they started to become less and less. And in my life, I have been trying to figure out a way. I've always had this weird idea inside of me that I've got to figure out a way to do it differently. I have to find a way to do it unpredictably. But I was able to prove to myself somewhere around 23, 24 that no matter what I decided to do, that I would have defined it as unpredictable. It would have still been predictable somewhere. Therefore, I can't conceivably do anything that is unpredictable. I will always be doing somewhat predictable things somewhere in some version of time. And therefore, then what is my life about? This comes towards like destiny. It's basically destiny. If destiny is real, then I'm just an animated character in a storybook. And nothing that I try to do that takes me out of the storybook will be possible. I will have to continue to live out the chapters of this story from my birth into my death. And that was the experience my soul chose to have. And that was completely outside of my control. Well, I do choose to believe that I have some sense of control, because I can choose to be an emotional wreck, or I can choose to smile, okay? I can choose that. Is it possible that even that choice was part of my destiny? I could choose to be seen by people, as in people who see me could be transformed by me or completely ignore everything I have to say. So other souls, like people that I have exchanges with, can choose to be impacted or not be impacted by me. And I want to believe that somehow destiny can't decide that. That maybe where I am meant to be and who I am meant to have exchanges with may be part of destiny, but what they do with that experience is up to that soul, you know? So I had this conversation with God, which I don't have a picture for this one, and I don't necessarily have ability to fill in the blanks with this either. But I was talking to God about the world, and I was remembering back, my son was reminding me about old computers, and he was telling me something about 1961. They had programmed this computer as the first computer that ever sang a song, and it was this Daisy, Daisy song, and he even played it for me. And he told me that that song creeps him out. And we were talking about it. And I was telling him my memories of having an IBM computer and the CD / and then you give the computer a command in order to open the file. And then new age systems would allow you to see the files themselves and then just click on them, so you didn't have to tell the computer what to do. And I started to realize, dang, computers have been around a long time. I mean, they have been assisting us for a very long time. And now we are welcoming computers to assist us at another level with these algorithms, right? Because I was talking about algorithms, I channeled Archangel Raziel, and I wasn't expecting what the outcome of that discussion was. It's the concept that this is the triangle where money's the value, okay? And that at the top, our idea of where AI is going, this already was known about at some other level that nobody would be given access to. Maybe if you were in the government, perhaps, but you wouldn't know about it here because you're only going to be allowed to know so much. Because money has to control the triangle. And when money controls the triangle, there has to be secrets and there has to be people who know stuff and people who don't know stuff. And then they have to trickle down the ways that they want to influence your mind, okay? That's where this is coming from, is the influence of the mind. Because if you don't have control over yourself, if you don't know who I is, which you will be free here. This I represents the individual. It's like I was telling you about destiny. I have control over whether I will be sad with the outcome or if I will be accepting of it or if I will reject it, if I will want revenge, if I will choose forgiveness. But I have to take the time to really ask myself, why am I making these choices? Do I care about the other people in this existence with me? And do I care about how I might impact them or not impact them? But I could make a decision that could help them somehow. And if I could help them, I could somehow build this triangle with where this triangle was made from love. It was love. It was the most amazing of all human beings, and it was love. It was where it didn't matter who you chose to be. The best of the best were the ones that were guiding society. But there has to be something about the heart and the love of each other. The love of each other. And I was thinking, because I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, because I was talking to God, my son with the IBM computer, and I was talking to God about, and I was talking to him too about the chess master. And so you could pull a file, and I used to loved playing chess. I still like playing chess. And so I was always up against the computer. When you play on the old computer, you're up against the computer. And if you could beat the computer, that was pretty impressive, because the computer is smarter than the human. The computer has the strategy. It's built into the computer, has the strategy of every single move in order to counter move, in order for, and I don't know if it was built into the computer that it would allow you to win sometimes. I don't know. But I mean, it could have been built into the program. Could have. But you want to believe that if you beat the computer, that you beat it fair and square. You know what I mean? But this algorithm and the conversation with Archangel Raziel and the fact that we are getting further and further away from being human people that are inspired by our own human selves and each other, because money is violating the relationship with what comes naturally. What comes naturally is I love being human. I love helping people. I love inspiring people with what makes me who I am. And I want to be the best at that because I want to give the best of myself to make it a better world. And that's really what builds a good society, right? But when money builds a good society, the society is about money. And now if money is buying the best minds, and the best minds have been decided that they are algorithms or computer-based minds, now the computer is actually, we are in the chess game. We are actually in the game of chess right now. That's what I was talking to God about. I said, is it possible, God, that I am simply a pawn in the chess game that is then dictated by the chess master? And so how will it's like this glass, okay? If I'm the water in this glass, how can I conceive of the glass itself? Because I won't be able to tell. I won't be able to tell that I'm even in a glass, let alone what is outside of the glass. So if I'm a pawn in the game that is being dictated by a chess master, I won't let alone know that it is a chessboard, let alone that I am a pawn, let alone who is guiding my experience, let alone who the chess master is. And so I asked God, what do I make of this? And then this was the mind-blowing thing, is that the chess master is God. But what does that mean to me? If the chess master is God, then these people are God. These people are God. Money then is God. AI is God. Then what? What do we make of the exchanges of everything? What do I make of the future self? What do I make of the memory of her life existence, which is in devastation and despair somewhere maybe 40, 50 years from now? I've had so many weird echoes come to me about future versions of Earth. And I don't know, I haven't had a profound deja vu experience. I don't know if I just shut those out or if I'm doing it differently this time. But I'm convinced that I can't do it identically. And therefore, it will be different than what her experience represents. But I've had echoes come back to me, and this was in journey states where I was communicating with her, where I was shown whole portions of the world. And this isn't to scare anybody, but this is what this kind of society can create. People have lost their mind because money is on their mind. And this society has to collapse because we aren't being human anymore. We don't even have a relationship with what makes a genuine society. That's why this has to go anyway. But I have control over who I'm going to be in whatever society ends up being born here. I'm meant to be here for a reason. And what about destiny? You know what I mean? What do I have control over? What do I not have control over? I'm going to choose to be the brightest person I can be no matter what happens. And I know what I know based upon how I translate my experience as a human being. This is my talent. This is what puts me up here, is I'm somebody who spends day and night listening and translating what this sounds like beneath the surface of itself in order to interpret the world around me. And all I can do is bring the interpretation forward and let you guys decide how you want to be impacted by it. That's all I can ever do. But one of the things that I'm hearing constantly, and this is aggravating me, this is a mirror, all right? So whether it's you're wrong, you could also be right. And if you're right, you could also be wrong, because it doesn't matter what we're arguing about, because it's the argument itself that is creating the distraction, okay? So if you're falling into the argument, you're actually not doing the strongest thing that you could possibly be doing, which is being a representation of the solution. You're trying to argue or to represent the solution. Let's say the solution is we need to be more open-minded. We need to welcome everybody who is different, and we need to identify what all those differences are. That is actually going to complicate society. We need to simplify society. It's this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, because we're trying to decide what the best balance of society needs to look like based upon thoughts and ideas, not based upon what just simply being human is. The base bone of humanity is work. It's actually this base for everybody is work, is hands, is heart, is extending a hand when someone has fallen and help them stand back on their feet again. The reason that this upsets me is because for some reason, this is so dang important to people that we're forgetting what's really important. We're losing ourselves. That we're losing ourselves because we're trying to hold on to the things that don't matter. And we're not going back to what we all know builds this. Hard work and love builds this. All we want is more freaking money. Maybe the money needs to go away. Maybe I can be okay with whatever future I wind up in. And if that future is I'm crying and I miss a past that was familiar to me because nothing about that world makes any damn sense, can I be okay with that me? Yes, I can. Because I'm a strong soul and I know why I came here. I came here to remind people what love is. Stop being a damn idea. You're not an idea, you're a person. And you're made out of love. And you have the power to make a difference. And you have the power to impact people. You have the power to hug someone today. God, the more we just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, we're not paying attention to what really matters. We're forgetting what really matters. So if I am a pawn in the chess master's game and that the chess master is some sort of evil dictator, I am more powerful than the chess master. Because I know who I am and the chess master does not know who they are because they were an algorithm all along. But God is a part of the existence of all things. And that gives me comfort because I'm a part of the existence of all things. And I know what builds it. And I'm going to continue to be an example of that. So all that being said, I wasn't sure how I was going to talk about this. I knew I had to talk about this somehow. I'm just going to pause for a minute and see if there's anything else that comes to me. It's these bandwagons that are a distraction. You don't have to be a part of some sort of collective group to be important. You can stand alone and truly be free because you know who you are. And you can represent a type of bandwagon idea, but you know why you're making the choice that you're making, not because this person said it or that person said it or that they were so important and you just wanted to be important with them or whatever. You are just you. And this person then is, you see this triangle, and that the individual is at the heart of the triangle. So that's basically what I have to say about that. Thank you all so much for watching, and hope that this gives you something to think about. Have an awesome day.